Companies are now bringing the dead back online.
Just to be clear for everyone seeing this, I am a version of Chris Pelkey recreated through AI that uses my picture and my voice profile. I was able to be digitally regenerated to share with you today. But here is insight into who I actually was in real life.
It can be unsettling to watch. What you're looking at is known as a deadbot. It's an avatar of a deceased person that uses their voice and their physical likeness to create a lasting memorial that can sometimes be interacted with. And they are getting more convincing every year. So joining us this morning is James Hudson. He is the lead researcher of AI technologies at Lindenwood University. Welcome to Your Morning.
Thank you so much, Anne. Thanks for having me.
You know, it's a little, I said it, it's a little unsettling when you realize the image that you're watching online is somebody who is no longer with us physically here on Earth. And there are a lot of companies in the business of recreating digital afterlife, from StoryFile to Hereafter AI. What kind of deadbots have we already seen, and how are they being used?
Absolutely. So this is nothing new. We've actually seen dead bots, although I prefer AI agents or AI ghosts. We've seen them since 1981 with Charlie Chaplin being used in a commercial for IBM. Since then, we've seen numerous celebrities, Bruce Lee in 2013, for instance, in a Johnny Walker commercial receiving backlash. We also saw Tupac brought back in 2012 at Coachella. There's less backlash when it's within the context of when we would have seen a celebrity, and the more time that has passed, the less likely we are to react negatively. But now we're seeing more and more movement in the commercial sector, right? So now we're actually seeing them in, as you mentioned, StoryFile, and even the more bespoke ones like Eternus, which costs up to $15,000 to set up your original one. But they're becoming more and more common every day.
Yeah, it feels like, if anyone watches the show Black Mirror, it feels like an episode of that. You say the next frontier of digital afterlife is to find a way to monetize it. You mentioned some of these companies charge, 15 grand. How could this change the way and the role that deadbots play?
Absolutely. There are many marketing strategies that the companies are already using at this time. Everything from building it into retirement planning and estate planning when you have a loved one in a nursing home, for instance, so that you can talk to them in perpetuity. Others are going to target you in times of vulnerability, such as birthdays or anniversaries of deceased loved ones, and on holidays, right, to show you that they can, in fact, bring back and give you some grief, but at the same time, really pulling on your heartstrings and vulnerable periods. And so we have to be mindful of knowing that these are out there, knowing that you're being targeted, and what specifically you need to think about in protecting your estate rights and, of course, those of your family.
So there's the ethical debate, but let's talk legal. AI agents or deadbots in both Canada and the U.S. operate right now in this sort of legal gray area. In this country, the Personal Information Protection and Electronic Documents Act bars organizations from disclosing an individual's personal information without their knowledge or their consent for 20 years after their death. There's also this patchwork of provincial laws that have varying approaches to something like an AI agent or a deadbot. How does this affect their regulation?
Absolutely. As you mentioned, we're in an in-between a liminal period whereby we're waiting to see where things will fall and what becomes just commonplace. So think of social media today and how you freely share your information online, your whereabouts, what you did during the day, etc. And you can set different levels of privacy. But you're in control. But it took quite a while, over a decade or so, for people to learn how to do that. So it's going to be the same learning process starting off. And yes, we do have laws in place that protect one's image and the control of your digital kind of afterlife and imagery. However, these companies are not just going after those that they haven't already received permission for. They will create these bots and then present them to a grieving loved one, who then grants permission because they control the estate. And so this is the most common way that they are getting permission, just like the long string that you're going to read as far as the terms and conditions before clicking OK. That's part of it, is that you are granting us rights to use the digital images of this individual for this purpose.
What do you want people and individuals to consider as deadbots become more lifelike and more convincing? And, as we touched on in the beginning, as companies start to monetize and find a market for them?
Yeah, so people need to be aware of how the information is extracted, scraping information from social media sites, from the web. If you have videos of individuals, especially with different audio clips, you can recreate fairly convincingly their voice and their mannerisms, etc. And so just being aware that it is possible. We've already seen people that have been fooled into ransom demands, as in the case of one daughter whose mother thought that she was speaking to her, and that she was kidnapped, when the case was they were just using an AI voiceover in this way. So just being aware that it exists, number one, that it is possible, number two, are the first two steps in education. Because as always in consumer software and these services like Google, Facebook, social media, if you're not paying for the service, you are the service. And we see that again in these types of services, freemium and otherwise.
This is a fascinating conversation. James Hudson, thanks for joining us here up in Canada on Your Morning.
Thank you so much for having me, Anne.
If you like that video, make sure to subscribe to the Your Morning YouTube feed, where you can find all kinds of new content posted every weekday morning.